What's up, everybody? Here to talk some sports again today. Just got one of my sons here today. We're going to talk a little sports with today. So, anything you want to talk about today in sports? Anything that's out there?
I just want to talk about the new tackle rule in football. Like I seen that they banned like the hip drop tackle. Basically, like you'll kind of come up to a defender, grab his hips, and like you'll kind of just like fall and try to like drag them down with you. Basically, so that was banned, and I feel like I just feel like that's a bad thing to ban, especially the direction they've been going with just like tackling in general. They're already banning a lot of. Like, you'll get a penalty for a lot of, like, other tackles,
Right.
So, like, how do they really want people to play anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like how do you still play defense when you're taking away like all the ways that basically a lot of people have been taught to tackle their whole life. You know what I mean? It seems like you know they want to go away from defense. And want to go away from that. So like, I'm not sure how. I don't think it's going to be a good thing for the hip drop rule because I'm not sure how they're going to get them down. How will they? They're going to have to teach a whole new way of getting people tackling people. I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to make it happen.
I feel like, they probably, because I was reading, they said, like, they want to try to avoid, like, falling on people's legs, but, like, I feel like that's a safer route than just completely taking out somebody's legs. Like remember, we went to that Steelers game, and we seen how Chubb, like, they just went at his legs, and, they ended the season with that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's really trying to make the game safer. But like like we spoke about before, football is a risky game. When you play it, I mean it's a violent game. It's a risky game. I think when you start playing football, you understand the risk that you're taking. I mean, you could get hurt. Guys get hurt in football. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think one of the things that the NFL, I think the guys are getting paid so much money now that I think the NFL wants to make sure that their prize players, their top players, are always available to play. And so they want to try to eliminate the possibility as much as they can of guys getting hurt. Because like those big ticket prices, I mean, like you pay to see. I mean, you want to pay this. You want to see Nick Chubb on the field. You don't want to see the backup on the field. You want to see, you want to see the starters, the superstars. That's who you want to see, and we don't want to have them hurt. And like you said, I can see, them taking out tackles where you just go for people's knees and stuff like that. But I mean, if you form tackle somebody, up around the waist or whatever, and then it seems like, how else are you going to get them down to the ground if you can't drop? You know what I mean? I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I get it that it's a business, but that's just like the way football started. Like it's just kind of getting away from where
Yeah, it's definitely getting away, and I think the thing about it is, I think players are getting so big and fast and strong now that like the collisions. If they didn't have the rules, and I get it. If they let players play like they did in the '60s or whatever, 1960s, when there was really no rules, where you can do anything you want to do. I mean, guys would probably be getting seriously hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're so much bigger now, they're so much faster, they're so much stronger, so well conditioned that, you might have a safety now. You might have a safety now that was as big as a D lineman in the 1960s and faster and stronger. So like, just imagine those collisions and hits. It's a rough game. You know what I mean? So we want to talk about another thing I want to talk about today was your. What was your favorite team again?
Steelers.
Okay, you like the Steelers. I've always liked Washington. They're now the Commanders. And so we want to talk about 3 players since you've been watching football or throughout your favorite team's history that you feel like, are like the top 3 players that you like. So I'll let you start off by naming one and then I'll do one.
All right, so first, this kind of go back to my favorite player we actually talked about, just AB. What he, just watching what he could do on the field as a receiver, really drew like a man on him and over top him every play for real, but still able to make just plays nonstop. Like I feel like he really could have like been on pace to be a top 5 receiver because he was just crazy. It's just sad that at the time we had him, I feel like now we're kind of like without a deep we're kind of trying to find our offense, but back then we were trying to find our defense. Like you know, we had him and Le'Veon Bell and Big Ben. They was putting up like 30 something points a game.
Right.
But it was just team couldn't find the success. But that's one player I say for sure that I enjoy watching from our team.
Yeah, AB was definitely. I enjoyed watching him. Like I said, I think he was definitely like a player that teams had to like game plan for. You know, if you try to single cover him, he was almost impossible to cover. Most of the time you had to double cover him, or like maybe even have 3 people trying to do something with him. But because you did that, then the Steelers were able to kill you in other places. They could run the ball on you. Le'Veon Bell couldn't cover him out the backfield. They had the tight end, so like he definitely presented a lot of problems. I mean, one-on-one, he was just almost an impossible matchup. So one player that I wanted to talk about from the Commanders was also a receiver. His name is Art Monk. He was with the Commanders, throughout the '80s and then like the early '90s. I believe during that time, like starting in like '81 or '82, they went to the Super Bowl. They went to 4 Super Bowls while he was a part of the team, and they lost one. Actually, it was 3, I believe. I think they played Miami Dolphins, they played the Raiders, they played the Broncos, and they played the Bills. So they went to 4 actually. They won 3 of them. When he retired, I believe he was the all-time leading receiver when he retired. And he played in all 4 of those Super Bowls. And they had like in the early '80s they had like a trio of receivers, and then in the late '80s they had another trio, and he was like the leader like that whole time of the receiving corps. So like he wasn't like flashy or nothing like that. He was a consistent, just a good receiver. He was big, he was fast, and the Commanders back in those days, they were really like a run team first. So like, but they also had like a big play type passing game, and I think Art Monk was one of the most consistent players they had on their team. Who else you got?
I feel like I gotta say Big Ben, man. Like Big Ben, I feel like a lot of people probably don't give him enough credit as he should get, but I feel like he was a great QB. Like, he's a big arm, rough, QB, make them tough plays you need. Like, might be like a 3rd and long. He might go get it himself, like break a sack. That's what he was really like. That's where he got the name Big Ben, like breaking them sacks, being able to still extend a play and having a big arm and just, I feel like a lot of people probably don't even know he's like the 5th all-time leading passer too. So I feel like he was one of my favorite players for sure, just going off that other AB point, man.
Yeah, Big Ben was definitely a game changer at QB. I feel like the Steelers had a good offensive line when he was there, but it wasn't like a great pass blocking offensive line. And I think like if you'd have put like another quarterback in that offense, I don't know if they would have been as good, because they like somebody who didn't have like scrambling ability. I mean, he was a scrambler, but he wasn't like a guy that just run all the time. But he could make a lot of plays. I think I saw somewhere they said most plays take 5 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds. But they said it's hard to defend the Steelers because Ben makes plays go about 8 seconds, and so by the end of the game, your defenders are wore out because they're covering plays longer. He made a lot of plays. I think he made offensive linemen who maybe weren't as great pass blockers. His ability to escape defenders actually made a lot of plays and he made a lot of plays where he was scrambling and hit somebody downfield, that type of thing. So plus I think the guys in the locker room, really he had the respect of the locker room and the team and the city.
Yeah, like, and especially, I mean, he did it for a long time too. Like, he came in, like they took a shot on him, like 1st round pick, like came in with a team that was already like good the rest of the team wise, but he came in and made the plays at quarterback.
Right.
Won like 2 Super Bowls early, got us to like 2 other wins, I'm pretty sure. And he did it for a while. Like you seen, like once he started getting hurt, you kind of seen like how actually good he was, like for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So another player I want to talk about that played for the Commanders, also a guy from the '80s, John Riggins. He was a running back. He helped Washington win their Super Bowl against the Miami Dolphins in the early '80s. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I went back and looked at some things. He carried the ball. He carried the ball like 160 times, like in the playoffs that year. So he was getting like 35, 40 carries a game, like and he wasn't like a shaking type runner who got moved like a lot of moves. He was big. He was about 250 pounds, 240 pounds. He was fast, but when he ran, like I went back and watched some of the old games on YouTube. Like he definitely was bringing he was vicious when he ran, and definitely a defense could get if they weren't a tough defense, he could wear them out by the end of the game, And then I remember just watching. They went against the Miami Dolphins, and then the next year, I think it was the '83 Washington team. At that time, they had the NFL scoring record for a season. They were considered probably one of the greatest teams of all time. They ended up losing to the Raiders. But I remember when they beat the Miami Dolphins, it was like a 4th and 1. They were around the 39-yard line, the Dolphins' 39-yard line, and it was fourth and so they went for it. And I think the coach was saying they had a play design where they knew everybody's going to be blocked but the safety. Mm-hmm. And they would always tell John, the safety is yours. He's going to be in the hole. You got to, you got to basically run him over. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he ended up running the guy over and going for a 39-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the big plays that he's known for. But he was definitely a workhorse type.
Yeah, I heard about him before. I think you were telling me about him before.
Yeah, he was definitely a guy that you could hand him the ball 40 times a game, and he was, Mm-hmm. Who else you got today? Anybody else?
Another guy I'd probably say, man, Troy Polamalu. One of the, probably top 2, top 3 safety ever. Just was a big play guy. Anytime we needed a stop, you really could count on Troy. Mm-hmm. He just had a good sense of the game. Probably was crazy with film because you would see some plays of him jumping over the line to get plays.
Right.
Getting picks, throwing right to him.
Mm-hmm.
Just excellent safety, man. Probably my favorite safety of all time.
Yeah, Troy was definitely something different than what the league was used to seeing. Mm-hmm. And I think the Steelers did a good job of letting him do what he do. Mm-hmm. They let him long as he stayed within the defense, he could do whatever he wanted to do, I think. Yeah. And plus, they probably let him hey, if you see something else, we got something called, but you see something else and you think you can make a play. Mm-hmm. A player like him, they probably gave him the freedom to do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah, because especially at safety, he wasn't just just sit in the back type safety. He'll come underneath and make plays, mm-hmm. all type of stuff,
Yeah. So one more player I want to talk about was a defensive back for the Washington Commanders. His name is Darrell Green. Mm-hmm. Darrell Green was also one of those guys that played in the '80s, '90s. I believe he played on all 4 of the Commanders Super Bowl teams also. At one time, I believe they said he was the fastest player in the league. Mm-hmm. I heard that. He was always on the other team's best receiver. He doesn't get the same notoriety as Deion Sanders and some of these other guys, but he was definitely a consistent player. He wasn't that big either, mm-hmm. but he was super fast. And I know the coach, he said the coach told him, don't ever get knocked down to the ground because we know that as long as you're standing up, when they break a run, if you go on YouTube, you can see a lot of videos of him catching all these star running backs, star receivers. Mm-hmm. They're behind everybody ready to score, and he just comes out of nowhere and just mm-hmm. and that kind of thing. If you catch somebody from behind, stop them from scoring a touchdown, and then your defense holds them to a field goal, that
game-changing play.
That could be a game-changing play there. You know what I mean? So, anything else? Any other
I'll say honorable mention, man. Like y'all that playing now, T.J. Watt. I feel like he gonna go down as one of the best Steelers ever. Like he already got our sack record, and like you can just see the difference when he's off the field and when he's on it. Like he's just a guy. I really feel like he should have a couple more defensive player of the years. Like especially, he's just different. Like I don't know what it is. Off the edge, you know, he'll get a couple of picks for you, you know, run stopper,
Right.
pass rush, anything. Like he's just a guy, you know.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. Actually, one of my favorite players to watch now is TJ. I think, first of all, I think he's super conditioned. Like I'd love to see what his conditioning routine is. I think, I think he's also like one of those guys. Like, you know, if a team has 80 plays, like let's say the offense is going to run 80 plays in the game, I think he can give you 100% on like 75 of those plays at least. You know what I mean? Whereas other guys might only go hard like 60 of those plays. So like most linemen are used to blocking somebody, like they know like, oh, this guy's gonna take some plays off. Like I don't think TJ's gonna take no plays off. So I think the offensive lineman like just gets he grinds them into submission basically. Like you know what I'm saying? Plus he's quick. I like the move he does when he rushes a field. You know, a lot of guys when they rush a field and then the quarterback steps up, like some guys don't even like try to like get back and get the quarterback. They just, he's past me. But I think that's one of the things he looks for. Like when the quarterback rushes a field and he rushes up, he tries to come back, and I've seen him get a lot of quarterbacks like just he might hit their ankle or whatever as they're running back up. He makes a lot of plays like that. You know, I just think he's relentless. Like he's relentless.
Yeah.
I think he's strong. I think he's physical. I think like you said with Troy, he probably looks at film. Like looks at how linemen like, you know, how they block. He knows like what he can do against them, what he can't. And when he's on the field, he makes a difference. Like you know, what I mean, some guys are when they're in, they just make other guys around them better. So, but yeah, that was a little talk about sports today, and we want to know like for your favorite team, who the top 3 guys are that play for your favorite team, and tell us a little bit about them. Put them in the comments. Thank you for listening.